Welcome back. Seven Rivers Racing on KQEG TV on the heels of Smash-O-Rama. A couple of racetracks with a couple of weekends off coming up here, which we're going to run down the schedules for you. Getting back to what happened at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway this past weekend, Sportsman's race was kind of interesting because the leaders were stuck midway through, and everybody knows you're going 15 laps and you're going to be starting at the midway point of a feature that had over 20 cars. It's going to be tough to do. Last year's Rookie of the Year, Brian Hesselberg, the number 5, well, he had a little bit of a challenge from Joe Reinertz and Rob Mason in the early goings, but once that track warmed up, the tires got warmed up, he was sticking and staying, and Brian Hesselberg pretty much ran away with this one.
He sure did. This is the first chance I've had to see this, but I have heard that apparently it was a really good race.
Greg Scheck, followed by Rob Mason, Joe Reinertz, and Chad Rosendahl. You know when Rosendahl brings that 00 back to the racetrack like he did with the Outlaws last year, the former Rays division, always a fierce competitor. You see everybody going single file all the way around. I think Randy Humfeld probably had the biggest charge along with Danny Gilster, then Matt England, out of the top 4. Jimmy Gilster, I think, may have had some problems. We're going to check when he's back on the track in a couple of weeks. As he was picking up the rear of that race almost halfway through, and there was something obviously going on because we've been so used to watching him run towards the front of the races so far this year. But kudos. That was Brian Hesselberg's first ever feature win in a Sportsman.
That's so awesome to get your first win at a new level when you're working so hard and putting in so much time. Right. It just feels good to get that win. Him and Troy Rave.
Yeah, and they really earned that thing, especially Ray with the motor going out. Hesselberg said that car was fine, and they're not really going to be changing too many setups here when the Sportsmen come back in 2 weeks. United Auto Supply Thunderstocks was a very interesting race. I felt sorry for Adam Gallagher. Started on the pole for a heat race, out. Started on the pole for the feature, out late in this one. You're going to see Chris Hines will lead this one. The rookie Jordan Myers trailing right behind. You got to watch the third car, the point leader Andy Moore. He's stuck to the inside there, the number 19. And at the end of this race, Moore was in the right place at the right time. Hines a little bit high coming out of turn 4. As you're going to see this next lap by, there's the white flag. Jordan Myers chopping at the bit, knocking on that back door all the way around. Again, Andy Moore now to the outside, real high in the wall. Now watch turn 4. Hines in the middle of the track gets Myers a little bit into there. Here comes Moore to the outside, and your point winner, who watches, slams the wall right here. Bam! Did some pretty good damage from what I understand talking with him on Sunday. And he was your race winner. And again, what a fortune to be in the right place at the right time.
You know, the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, when you have 1 week of exciting racing, you don't think it can get any better. And then it just jumps right ahead and has another really great finish.
Every time that I come on the show after announcing at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, I say, folks, you missed a big one. You did it again. You missed a really big race that night. And also want to congratulate, by the way, the Faster Passers that came out. Yes. We had 15 that were representing different congregations throughout western Wisconsin, and we appreciate them coming out. Your top 5, Chris Hines, Brad Worth, and Chris Weber, and Chad Ayler. And Chris Weber was back out after missing a couple of weeks after wrecking his car. Saturday, Smash-O-Rama. They've got monster trucks, motorcycle demonstrations, T-bones, skidders, rollover contest, fireworks, motorcycle demonstrations, you name it. Whatever Chuck can pull out of his back pocket, he will. And that's going to bring us into our 2 guests today. When we talk Winter World Hornets and we talk the skidder division, our 2 guests who are brothers, one is the 2009 skidder champion, Kyle Swenson. Kyle Stewie Swenson joining us in the program. And also his brother, Steven Rusch, joining us. Steven, a Thunderstock and a Hornet driver. Guys, how are you?
Doing good.
God, you got to be chomping at the bit. Neither of you. I think, Steve, you were out once this year.
No, that was Melissa in my car.
Okay, Melissa Hopkins in the 45.
Mother's Day.
Kyle has yet to make it out this year, and going to be out in the next coming weeks or so. 2009 skidder champ, and I know you're going to be chomping at the bit to get those 2 wheels off the back and put the plates back on. Oh,
it is a blast to do the skidders. It is just absolutely a blast. I can't wait.
You know, we got a couple of emails for you guys this week that knew that you were coming on. fansarena.com/7riversracing.html. And the first was going to be coming out of New Lisbon. And Clarissa wrote in and asked, basically, you're going from a Hornet car to a car with 2 tires. What is it like to skidder race?
Skidder racing is just like dirt tracking, except you don't have the tires in the back to straighten you out. So when you go in the corner, that rear end keeps going. So you got to work the pedals nice and easy to keep the front end grip to the ground, and when you get on the gas, the rear end it'll stay out there. The front will just pull around, and you'll go straight down the back straightaway.
Or like he used last time, use the wall.
Yeah.
That's a
The
nice,
wall helps too.
nice cushion to bounce off of, especially when you're only working 2 tires. Chuck Deary brought this skidders to the racetrack a couple of years ago after they were running them in Rockford. The first race isn't too bad. I like it when it gets darker, though, because then you really start seeing the sparks fly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
Now, we also got another email that came in this week, Al, on the fansarena.com/7riversracing, that HTML website.
Yeah, there were actually a couple of questions in one here from Diane. What made you decide to race?
Dale Earnhardt. Simply, Dale Earnhardt Sr. I've been a race fan ever since I was born. He was my favorite, and every time I went to get behind the wheel, I was thinking to him, and sometimes it wouldn't work. And my mom goes, "Well, if we get you on the racetrack, maybe it'll help you on the drive-in," and it certainly did. It slowed me down. I got patient because I had an outlet to put all that speed and adrenaline to.
Steve?
Well, it all started. This is my 7th year of racing. I started Oktoberfest, Enduro. I borrowed a buddy's Mustang. Next year, I had to get myself a car, and
I hear so many drivers that I've talked to in all the years that I've been associated with racing, that when you find out what got you into the sport, all it took was getting on that track that one time, and you're sold.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to get on that track many times. I wanted to get on there and race.
Just had opportunity strike, and there it was.
I just didn't have the financial, and my mom paid the $300 for my first car, which was Kyle's first car too. Slapped a cage in it, went out and raced it.
Well, we're going to show some footage in our next segment of what it looks like, the skidder race, and we'll save that for the next segment here. Now, you both do double duty. Kyle, I know you run Hornets and skidders. Do you feel that you have an advantage over other drivers in both classes because you do run almost the same car, the same setup, obviously minus 2 tires?
Well, it is the same car, but it's 2 different animals. Completely 2 different animals. When I go in the corner in the skidders, I got to reach in there and kind of like jerk on the wheel a little bit, give her some slack going around. The Hornet, I just go in there, put it to the floor, and it pulls me right back out of the corner, and away I go.
Now, Steve, you run Hornets and Thunderstocks on the same quarter-mile track at La Crosse. What are the advantages, disadvantages?
Well, in Hornets, that's pretty much where I'm very comfortable because I ran it 2 years straight. And then Thunderstocks, I brought some stuff over from the Hornets, how to go into the corners and whatnot. Just in Thunderstock, it's a little more trickier going through 1 and 2 than 3 and 4. It's not the dip, it's going into it. My car likes to jump out.
Okay.
But now I got my Hornet car doing the same thing. See now, so it's going to be interesting.
So it might be the gas pedal that's jumping you out.
You let off the gas and touch a little bit on the brake, the whole thing jumps out. There's more than a couple times last year where I raced the car and I didn't even have to touch the brakes. I just let up off the throttle, and I just slid the nose right across that white tire and right down the back straightaway.
You know, so far in just a couple of Hornet races at La Crosse so far this year, that tire that is in turn 2, not the one you have to go around as you're entering turn 1 being the nemesis, it's the tire in turn 2 by the wall that's gotten it has been punished many times so far this year.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Does it seem bigger?
I don't know why, because Kyle used my car last year, and like the second time you had it out, he hit the red tire on the inside
of turn 2.
About 6 or 8 feet. They still haven't moved it back yet, so you still got room to go down to the grass right there.
Put a plaque on that tire, the infamous Kyle Swenson Stewie tire right there.
Yeah, but that was with my car too.
We're talking to Steve Rusch and Kyle Swenson, they're brothers. They both raced at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. Skidders, Hornets, and Thunderstocks. They've got all 3 classes covered. When we come back, we're going to show you what it looks like to run a skidder and the sparks that do fly. And I know these 2 guys, I've known them ever since I've been in the La Crosse area. Now, we're going to talk about mom and dad because they're one of the groups that don't have 15, 20 people working on cars every single weekend. Big time support from the family, and it really brings a new light to family racing at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway, because that's exactly what they do, is it's all family oriented. Steven Rusch, Kyle Swenson, and Al Losey. I'm Dan Dyker joining us. Coming up in segment 3, we're going to show you what it looks like to do the skidders. And we've got schedules coming up in a somewhat light racing weekend here in western Wisconsin. You're watching the 7 Rivers Racing Show on KQEG TV.